with all the recent election stuff happening across the Atlantic over the last few weeks, there was a fascinating article about the US president's car that I saw. It was described as a rolling fortress, and it boasts 8 to 12-inch thick armor plating. It has strengthened base to withstand mines, a petrol tank which can't explode. It can run, if the tires have been shredded, up to 65 miles an hour. It has gun ports, an air filter system, tear gas cannons, an infrared driving system on board, missile detectors, and there's usually a decoy as well in the convoy to throw people off. And last but not least, the vehicle is stocked with bottles of the president's blood type and cans of Diet Coke. All this kit so that the leader of the free world can drive safely, sometimes literally only a few yards from one engagement to the next. The little boy in me would have loved to have been president's car maker. When I was at school, we used to draw kind of fantasy cars like that, all kinds of gadgets and features and things. It was kind of the precursor to James Bond, if you like. And we were way ahead of our time, way ahead of our time. Imagine the fun these people must have. They're given an unlimited budget and told to make an indestructible car that will cater for every eventuality. We all fall victim at some point to the amazing advances we have made in the world. Netflix, the iPhone 12, track and trace, perhaps not that one. The wonderful imagination of the entertainers we have, the ability we have to protect ourselves from almost anything. And we wonder how we could have ever been taken in by inventions of media, things which are now very, very ordinary and yet impressed us so much just 5 or even 50 years ago. Presidents and prime ministers might travel around in interesting cars, but they cannot immunize themselves from pandemics, the vagaries of the electorate, climate change, or even the simple need for a drink. Despite their dreaming and their imagination, despite their immense power and wealth, they're still thwarted at so many turns. And the last 8 or 9 months have surely shown us that all too painfully. Then there's the regular trickle of press exclusives to show that people we once might have respected actually have feet of clay. The disciples once marveled at the magnificence of the temple stones until Jesus told them they would soon be knocked down. There's much in this world that impresses, that demands our attention and our adulation, our obedience, that promises so much. And yet in the end, something else always comes along to show it to be rather ordinary. So where does our hope lie? If not in other people, then perhaps in our own strength, in our own cunning, in our own wealth and ability to create. Can all these things ever be enough, though? Or is our hope in the King who, in humility and love, chose to wear a crown of thorns? If that's how Jesus, our Lord and King, chose his sovereignty, then that too should be our example, not seeking to show power in wealth or strength, but in sacrifice. Most of us actually have quite a lot of power. We've got power at home, in our own homes, in the church, at work, where and how we choose to spend our money. When we bump into people, when we recognize that there are others in need, how we respond. And are we strong and forceful with the power we have? Or do we find a better way? What would it take to bring peace on earth? What does it take to end an argument at home? You can shout louder, build stronger defenses, emotional or physical. You can hope to overwhelm your enemies, but winning like that never brings any real peace. Could we instead choose to serve the interests of others? Could we choose to lose a few more arguments, knowing that in the end, God will sort it all out? In all the conflicts Jesus found himself involved in, he only really seemed worried about winning one argument, the one between life and death. Jesus, the one who appeared weak and powerless, had and still has the power to deliver what all other kings and princes, presidents and prime ministers can't even begin to imagine. So all US presidents, they want to reduce the risk of an early death by driving around in their rolling fortress. But surely that very act is a sign of fear and an admission of failure, that they cannot guarantee peace. Jesus came as a weak and helpless child, no armor plating, and yet he really is the Prince of Peace. Jesus can do this because he has a majesty that never fades or dates. When we see him for who he really is, we will no longer be quite so preoccupied with the petty things of this earth that cause so much quarrelling. We will all be looking and longing in the same direction at the true glory that will be revealed. Unlike with some dictators who travel in fear and secrecy, there are no duplicates, no decoys. Jesus is unique. He is the one true King, and he alone is worthy of our praise, not just until the next election, but for all eternity. Amen.